What's up guys, we are back in the shop again. Today we're going to be working on the Z. I've got some new chain adjusters, so we're going to throw those on. But if you also didn't notice, we got a new lift. New lift, yeah, new lift, new lift. All right, sorry guys, I know that got weird really quick. But back to it, we've got the stock Z chain adjusters right now. The reason we're getting rid of those is because they do get loose over time, and I do a lot of off-roading and a lot of wheelies, so you can see how loose it gets. This is about after 2 or 3 weeks of not adjusting it. So now we're going to be getting rid of the stock ones. We're going to be going to Fine Turn Precision's chain adjusters. These have spools on the side. It's kind of an option that you can choose, but I chose to get it. The spools on the side allow you to jack up the bike without having to put the rear stand somewhere around here and the whole bike sliding forward and backwards. So this makes the bike a little more stable when you do jack it up, and it will sit somewhere around there. So that is really nice. Also, we have 2 Allen keys. The big Allen key is going to adjust this forward and backward, which tightens and loosens the chain. It makes it a whole lot easier to adjust it. And yeah, it's just really easy compared to stock. Then we have this little small Allen key at the bottom, if you could see that. That is going to push these little pin things out. Basically, that's what's going to tighten it up inside the swing arm itself. So enough talk about these. I'm going to go ahead and throw them on, show you guys kind of the easiest steps to do to put these on and get rid of the stock ones. So on my bike, I am running these TST sliders right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. And now I can get rid of them if I want to, because the spool is going to be on the side here. So it almost kind of protects the bike as well, and you can get replacements for these. So before you jack up the rear tire and rear wheel assembly, you're going to want to loosen up that axle. Just get it a little loose. That way, once you do get it in the air, it's not going to be fighting with you the whole time. So now I'm going to go ahead and jack up the rear with the rear stand I have. Just get that rear wheel off the ground. Then we're just going to take off this nut on it would be the right side of the bike, which is holding in your axle. Then there should be a piece on the side of there, which is for your adjustment. Now the best way I have found to do it is to get some kind of long rod that can fit inside here. I have a long drill bit. I just don't use the drill bit side. And then I take a mallet, and what I do is I push this through as much as I can, get to that, and then I use the rod to take the place of the axle, so that way the whole rear assembly doesn't fall down. That way you don't have, calipers coming off and the different spacers and stuff coming off where it's harder to get it back. And as I do this, you can see that the axle is coming out the other side, and like I said, this is basically taking the place of the axle, so the rear wheel isn't falling at all. And when you get close to the end, just kind of pull it out, and there it goes. So the rear wheel literally is in place. All I have to do is lift it up just a tad instead of the whole rear assembly falling down to the ground and then trying to hold everything with 2 hands, even though you need 6. So now your stock chain adjusters should be loose. You should be able to pull out this side, and then we're just going to throw the new one back in, just like so. Now what you're going to want to do is push it as far forward as possible and take an Allen key and go ahead and tighten up that bottom bolt as you push forward, because you don't want it sticking with a little crack here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now the next step is to take the axle and actually push it through, but I do need to loosen this chain adjuster as the hole is way too far to the rear. So you might have to adjust it depending on how loose or tight your chain is. So I'm just going to line it up as best as possible for now, and then just throw the axle in there, and there it goes. So now it's in there. Now we're just going to take our mallet and slowly hit this through, which will push our other piece we have on the other side that took place of the axle. Now just before you get to the end, you can go ahead and pull out your temporary axle piece that I was telling you about. Now we don't have it pushed all the way over, but it's still holding the wheel in place. So now your right side chain adjuster should be loose. Go ahead and pull that out and replace it with the other one. Again, at the same time, your wheel is not falling. You don't have to worry about any of that. So now we're just gonna slide it in there. And then same as the other side, we're gonna take our Allen key and we're gonna make sure we push forward on the chain adjuster to get it as far forward and flush to the swing arm as possible, and then tighten it up. Now again, same as the other side, this hole is way too far back, so we're gonna go ahead and push it and get it lined up with the axle that's trying to come through right now, just like that. Now since it's lined up, we should just be able to pop it through, just like so. And don't forget your little chain adjuster pieces right here. So throw that on and then throw the nut itself on. So now your chain adjusters should be tight on both sides. I'd also make sure that the spools are tight as well, as they could have just got loose in shipping or something. So now they're both tight. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the chain adjusters for the first time and get that chain tight. The way you're gonna do that is just with a Allen key. It's the bigger Allen key, obviously, and tighten it is gonna pull the axle back, and you're just gonna wanna do that evenly. So maybe a half turn on this side and then a half turn on this side. You're gonna wanna keep doing that and keep checking the chain. There's also a small line on the top right here. You're gonna wanna see where that is in correlation with the lines on the swing arm. Make sure it's the same on the right side as it is on the left side. That way your wheel isn't crooked. One of the nicest things about these chain adjusters is if you do get the chain or one side too tight and you need to loosen, the way you would do that with the stock ones is you would loosen it and then you would have to bump the wheel forward. That was the only way to do it. With these, you can literally just loosen this and it actually pushes the axle forward. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually pushing the axle forward. There's no need to hit the wheel and deal with all that. So it just makes it a whole lot easier to adjust your chain and to really fine tune it. Now the way I adjust the chain is I kind of make sure that both sides are about the same. I tighten this side, then I tighten the other, and I try to do that back and forward. And I'm trying to make sure this mark here, where this is on the second mark in correlation with that, the other side is also on the second mark. Just keep doing that until you can see that the chain is tight, or at least to your liking. Mine's a little tighter than it should be, but I'd rather be a little tight than a little loose. If you can look there, it is on the second mark. You're gonna wanna go over to the other side and make sure that that side is also right around that second mark. You wanna try to get it as close to the same as possible. Again, that's the biggest thing I like about these chain adjusters, the fact that you can really get that fine-tuned precision on adjusting your chain, where that stock one is just a lot more difficult to do that. And the chain adjustment is a lot easier as well. So now, since that's done, you just need to tighten down this axle nut here. It should be 42 foot-pounds. If not, I'll correct myself. But that should be it. So let me do that real quick. Now that I've got that axle tight, I just wanted to show you guys. So these are basically what the spools are used for. If you have a rear stand that has the spool extension piece, that's what happens. So obviously it's not going anywhere because it's on this ramp. But if it wasn't on the ramp, the bike would not be moving forward and backward. It just makes things a lot easier to work on. But these chain adjusters look a lot better, and the fact that you have the spools in there is really nice. If you don't want the spools, you can obviously take them off. That's not a big deal at all. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informational, and if you have any questions as to how to install them, or any questions as to why I did it, whatever, just leave it in the comments. But hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. New lift!